many of the messages out there around purpose articulate that purpose is somewhere out there waiting to be found. But what I've found is that purpose is usually right where you are, waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be
Mm.
seen. And one of the people I learned that from was a janitor that we had done research with. And she was part of a group that we embedded ourselves in for a year and a half. And we wanted to know what makes work meaningful and purposeful in this job that can be repetitive. It can be difficult. And to give you an idea of the environment of how much invisibility there can be in this work. One time I was working with this group of janitors and a building user came by and threw a piece of trash. It hit the edge of the trash can, bounced off, and the person looked at the janitor and kept walking. I mean, so this is what these
Mm.
people endure daily. And we asked them all the same question. We asked, what is the part of your job that's most meaningful to you? And I remember this one janitor, her name was Ellen, and she started to tell me about cleaning the bathrooms in the university dormitories where all of the students stay on Monday mornings after the weekend. And yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that sounds disgusting and
Yeah.
gross. And I said, Ellen, why did you pick that as the most meaningful part of your job? And she said to me, it's the part I dislike the most. And this
Mm.
is what's really important is that what's purpose does not equate to pleasure, right? What's pleasurable isn't always purposeful, and what's purposeful isn't always pleasurable. And she said it's because she hates the job so much. Every time she crosses the threshold of that bathroom, she says to herself, I'm cleaning this bathroom so that these kids don't get sick.
Mm.
And she says, every time I go into the bathroom, I repeat that to myself. And what we found through hundreds of interviews with people in terms of how they experience high levels of purpose in their work, one of the commonalities is that they tend to have a so that approach. They can link the discrete task that they're doing with its inevitable human impact. I'm doing this so that what? The other piece of Ellen's story that's really inspiring is I was interviewing her and she had hats that she was crocheting during break on her lap. And I asked her, why are you crocheting hats? And she said, it's because when I go to my car in the winter, it gets cold here in Colorado where I am. She said, I make these hats for all of the students in the dormitory that I clean so that when I go to my car in the winter, if I just see one student wearing one of these hats, I'm reminded of why my job exists.
Mm.
Now, the reason why that story is so powerful is because it shows that purpose is a practice, right? There's a big difference between having purpose and being purposeful. And people who derive a sense of purpose in their work tend to have a so that mentality, and they tend to do things that remind them of the bigger impact of their work.
Mm.
And
I think
that's
it's
how Ellen
also,
has inspired me is do I have a so that mentality?
yeah, yeah, and I think it's so important too to really reflect on how this is among the least skilled positions on the planet. The most what would you call it? Kind of difficult work, challenging work, often as you use the word disgusting, which it can be, right? Cleaning up
Mm-hmm.
toilets on a Monday morning could literally be disgusting. And perhaps repulsive to the person doing the work. And yet these people in these positions can find meaning that helps them derive meaning and purpose in their work. I think that's so powerful for us leaders to remember that like not everyone has to be, you know, curing cancer to find meaning, right? We can find meaning every
No,
day, and that's kind of what you're getting at, right? Is that it's not, we don't have to go find it. It is truly just waiting there to be discovered, right?
absolutely. And when I asked Ellen how she developed that perspective, she shared with me that she was near homelessness before she got this job. It was
Mm.
the only job that she could get. And she said that during her first 2 weeks on the job, she was walking around saying to herself, why couldn't I have done something more with my life? I wish I
Mm.
wasn't just a janitor. And how do you go from I'm just a janitor to I'm cleaning this bathroom so that these kids don't get sick? And she told me that in her first 2 weeks on the job, she had a supervisor who saw that she was struggling, brought her into a break room. He pulled out a dictionary and had her read the definition of a custodian, which is a person responsible for a building and people in it. And she told me is that 1 minute interaction. And it was the first time in her life that someone had showed her she was worthy of responsibility. And she
Mm.
said it was that one interaction with that supervisor that completely changed my belief systems. And so while it's can be an individual's responsibility to craft that perspective, those moments of mattering where a leader shows somebody the evidence of their significance is a key way to build that belief. So it's both ways. So I'm glad you brought that up, the role of the leader, because Ellen had a leader. She doesn't even remember her name that completely altered the belief systems that she had. She's been at the university for over 30 years now. Is one of the most sought after janitors. People love her. She's like a local celebrity.